Have you ever noticed something unsettling about yourself? You meet someone new. There's a spark, excitement, genuine interest. You want to know everything about them. You text back quickly. You think about future conversations, and then, without warning, it disappears. The interest evaporates. The excitement fades. The person who fascinated you yesterday feels like a stranger today. Not because they did anything wrong. Not because something happened. The feeling just ... leaves. And maybe you've wondered if something is wrong with you. Here's the paradox. Nobody understands. You're not cold. You actually feel things intensely. You crave deep connection more than most people. But something keeps pulling you away before connections fully form. So what's actually happening when interest vanishes without explanation? What does this pattern reveal about how your mind actually works? Let's start with what's really going on beneath the surface. When you meet someone new, your brain does something specific. It scans for depth, for authenticity. 4 layers beneath the surface presentation. In those early moments, everything feels possible. This person might be different. Might have the substance you're searching for. Might be someone who actually understands. So you invest. You engage. You open up. But here's what's fascinating. Your brain is simultaneously running a deeper evaluation. One you're not even conscious of. It's asking questions. Is this person genuinely complex or just initially interesting? Do they have real depth or just the appearance of depth? Is there substance here or just novelty? And when your brain decides, the answer is no. Interest doesn't gradually decline. It switches off. Completely. Almost instantly. This isn't cruelty. This is discernment operating at high speed. Here's the first thing this reveals about you. You're wired for depth over novelty. Most people are satisfied with surface connection, with pleasant exchanges and comfortable familiarity, with relationships that stay safely shallow. But you can't survive there. Your mind is designed to seek substance. Real complexity, authentic depth. And when it detects that depth isn't available, it loses motivation to continue. Research on what psychologists call need for cognition shows that some people have significantly higher drives for mental stimulation. They need complexity, they need layers. Without them, engagement becomes impossible. You're not losing interest in people. You're losing interest in surfaces that promised depth but delivered flatness. That's not coldness. That's standards. Here's the second thing. You experience intensity that can't sustain itself. When you connect, you don't connect casually. You dive deep immediately. You want meaningful conversation now. You want to understand someone completely in the first few meetings. This intensity is genuine. It's not performance. It's how you actually experience interest. But here's where it gets complex. That same intensity creates a specific problem. You extract meaning from people quickly. You understand them faster than you realize. And once someone is understood, the mystery that fueled your interest dissolves. It's not that they became less interesting. It's that you process them at a speed they weren't prepared for. Where others take months to truly know someone, you take weeks, sometimes days. And once the knowing is complete, the curiosity that drove connection runs out of fuel. Here's the third thing. You're protecting yourself before you realize you need protection. Losing interest quickly can be a defense mechanism, one you developed long before you could name it. Think about it. If you've been disappointed by people before, if connections have hurt you, your brain learned something. It learned that investment leads to pain, that opening up leads to being let down. So it developed a shutdown system, a way to exit before things go wrong. A mechanism that pulls you back before you're in too deep. This isn't conscious choice. It's your nervous system protecting you based on old data. The interest doesn't fade because something's wrong with the person. It fades because your brain decided you were getting too close, too vulnerable, too exposed. That's not coldness. That's self-preservation you didn't ask for. Here's the fourth thing. You sense inauthenticity faster than others. Your quick loss of interest often correlates with something specific. The person wasn't being fully real. Maybe they were performing a version of themselves. Maybe they were saying what they thought you wanted to hear. Maybe there was a gap between who they presented and who they actually are. And you sensed it, even if you couldn't articulate why. Research on social perception shows that some people are exceptionally accurate at detecting authenticity. They pick up on micro-expressions, inconsistencies, subtle mismatches between words and energy. You're probably one of these people. The interest vanishes because your brain detected something false. Not maliciously false, just not fully real. And your system can't maintain engagement with performance. You don't lose interest in genuine people the same way. Notice that. The ones who stay interesting are the ones who are authentically themselves. Here's the fifth thing, and this one cuts deeper. You might be protecting your energy. Connection costs something. Real connection, the kind you actually want, requires emotional investment, vulnerability, the willingness to be affected by another person. And you might have limited capacity for this. Not because you're deficient, but because you feel things so intensely that unworthy investments drain you completely. Psychologists call this high sensitivity, the tendency to process emotional experiences more deeply than average. When you invest in someone, you really invest. So when that investment goes nowhere, you don't just lose time, you lose energy, emotional resources, pieces of yourself. Your brain learned to cut losses early, to withdraw before the drain becomes too significant, to protect your limited reserves for connections that actually deserve them. That's not cruelty, that's intelligent resource management. But here's the truth, nobody tells you. This pattern has costs. When you lose interest quickly, you might exit before depth has time to develop. Some people don't reveal themselves immediately. Some connections need time to unfold. By leaving early, you might miss people who would have been worth knowing, who just needed more time than your brain was willing to give. And you might also feel lonely, surrounded by almost connections that never quite landed. People who were interesting for a moment, but couldn't sustain it. A history of beginnings without middles or endings. The protective mechanism that serves you also isolates you. The discernment that filters out the wrong people might filter too aggressively. This is the complexity of your pattern. It's both gift and wound, protection and prison. So what do you do with all of this? First, stop calling yourself cold. You're not cold. You're selective. You're deep. You're wired for substance in a world that mostly offers surface. Second, give time a chance. Not every time, but sometimes. When your interest fades, ask yourself if there's been enough time for real depth to emerge. Some people bloom slowly. Third, recognize protection when it's operating. When interest vanishes suddenly, check if you are getting close to something vulnerable. Check if the shutdown is about them or about your own fear. Fourth, honor what you're actually seeking. You want depth, authenticity, real understanding. That's rare. It means fewer connections, but more meaningful ones. And finally, trust your discernment while softening its edges. You're good at sensing who's real, but you might also need patience with people who are real, but slow to reveal. Here's what ties all of this together. Losing interest in people quickly isn't a character flaw. It's a signal that you're wired for a deep connection in a world of shallow ones, that you seek substance when most people settle for surface, that you protect yourself fiercely because you know how much real investment costs. You're not broken. You're not incapable of connection. You're not too picky or too difficult. You're someone who refuses to pretend that surface is enough. And yes, this makes connection harder. Yes, it narrows the field. Yes, it means more time alone than you might want. But it also means that when you do connect, when someone actually holds your interest, when depth meets depth, the connection is real. Not performed, not forced, not maintained through obligation. Real. And maybe that's worth the wait. Worth the loneliness. Worth the pattern you've judged yourself for. You lose interest quickly because you're looking for something rare, and rare things take time to find.